why did you personally want to be in this film?
Well, at the time I was preparing to play James Jones. I was been working for a year with James Ivory to do Soldier's Daughter, Kaylee Jones's book, and personally I thought it would be wonderful if I could have a role in it and do James Jones's not only his novel, but then play James Jones himself. And Terry originally felt, after I met with Terry, he felt I was too old for any of the roles, but he wanted me in the film, so he said, let's go home and research to play a general that would be on the land, that would, because I need to see where the orders come from. And he said, so we'll meet once a week, and you do the research, and then find a general that we can put there. And so we met, and about the fourth week he said, you know, you should play Colonel Tall. And I said, yes, I'd love to. Which then eliminated the ability to go to the other film because it lapsed right over into it. So Mr. Ivory was a little upset, but I literally would have to fly from Australia to Paris and start the next day. Well, the plot is about a little bit of history and a little bit of not. I can't briefly describe that because, you know, the Marines had been in Guadalcanal and were left there. And we actually didn't think, the odds were that we wouldn't be able to get the Japanese out of the Pacific. They were a superior force, and so there were quite a few bets that we couldn't do this. And that convoy that went down there was supposed to go to northern Australia and use that as a bivouac, maybe to island hop from there. And the character Colonel Tall is on that. And there were secret orders to divide that convoy and send one group of it into Guadalcanal to relieve the Marines and see how we could do in this first battle of the islands. And of course, Tall is caught in the position of being an older man, a colonel that it was a West Pointer after World War I. And after World War I, most of the world said there will never be another war again. And so we demilitarized the army, and so we didn't even have guns. They had wooden ones, whatever was left. So Tall's experience is all through that when there was no army, and he's a career military man. And all of a sudden, here comes World War II, and that's his war. So I did just a brief research with Del Dye, who was a Vietnam vet, because I needed to know the colonel and ranks and different things like that. But I really turned to, for the feeling of that, I turned to my father's material, who had been in the Pacific, and he's been dead for quite a while, but I got out all of the war clippings and all of the newspapers from, because we had boxes of it, and I looked at his medals and things like that, so I got a feeling from that. And the reason there are men like that is because if you're a career military man, you have a romantic idea of war to a certain degree, and Colonel Tall does. He's a romantic in that it's about capturing the objective, you know. He's not down there on the line where you live and die, so he's romantic in that way. Well, it was different because of Malik, you know, and John Tall. You know, Terry has an extremely wide mind. I mean, he's just, you know, he can identify birds and Latin and Homer, and you have tremendous conversations with him. But, you know, you felt it a bit. I felt it a bit, you know, a bit. Certainly when we were firing the howitzers with full loads, even the insects felt that, because they all abandoned the area, and behind carrying them all over by the camera, and I looked over at them and they were all jumping around doing this, and I said, what's wrong with them? And then I looked at their legs, and there were tropical spiders and centipedes crawling up them, and ants, and all the insects, because of the concussion of the shells, and it was causing the earth to like this, that they all went out of that area, and they found the first thing that was off the ground and started climbing up it. And so they had thousands of bugs. We had to just leave the camera and everybody walk away from it.